Here's what you can do in order to improve battery life on Samsung Galaxy S25. Most of these things can be done, most of these improvements can be done in settings. And here we can actually start by going to display, because of course the adaptive brightness allows you to lower the screen brightness when it is not really necessary to have it brighter than it should be. And adaptive brightness lets you reduce the battery consumption as a result, because the lower the brightness of the screen and the lower battery consumption as well. And of course you don't want to have the lowest brightness all the time, because, well, you still want to see on your screen. Therefore, adaptive brightness allows you to pretty much always adapt the brightness to the environment and how bright the environment is. Besides that, consider changing the screen timeout. I believe by default it is set to 30 seconds, and that is fine. Of course, you can still lower it to 15 seconds, and you might like this option, keeps screen on while viewing. But in general, it is better in terms of fixing the battery issues with the draining and aging. It is better to actually not use it. And then the next thing that we can do is going to battery. In the battery, we can of course use the power saving option. We can use it from time to time in order to save the battery and have it for a little bit longer before we start charging again. But we can also use adaptive power saving mode. We can tap on these three dots in the top right corner, go to adaptive power saving, and we can turn it on. After a short time, our phone will start picking up when it should enable the power saving mode automatically, so that it keeps the battery for longer. Of course, you don't have to use power saving all the time. Even if you use it manually, you don't have to keep it on all the time. But it is of course recommended to use it from time to time when you want to keep the battery for a little bit longer. Therefore, the adaptive option seems to be a pretty good choice. Besides that, we have battery protection, which should be enabled at least with the basic option selected. Ideally, you want to use adaptive or even maximum, whereas in maximum you can also adjust when the battery should stop charging. Of course, 80% is the best option. Adaptive allows you to still charge to 100%. If it does charge to 100%, it drops down to 95 and then starts charging again, just like in the case of basic. But mostly if you, for instance, charge at night when you don't use your phone, you are sleeping, and then in that case, if you use adaptive, it switches to maximum and then it charges only to 80%. And when you are about to wake up, it charges to 100%. In terms of charging the device, or actually the most optimal way of charging the device is when you reach that 80%. This is how batteries are built pretty much. This is how they work. This is the most optimal way of charging them. When you reach 80%, you stop charging. When you reach 20%, you start charging. So anything between 20 and 80% is the ideal battery percentage. If you, of course, if you drop below 20 and you start charging, for example, at 5%, it's still technically fine. But if we are talking about avoiding battery aging, or at least extending the battery life for as long as possible, because aging is inevitable, then in that case you want to keep your battery between 20 and 80%. And this is the most optimal way of charging. And we can also go to background usage limits as well in order to, for example, add sleeping apps here. So sleeping apps will run in the background only occasionally, and updates and notifications may be delayed therefore. So we can place apps over here, or you can also use deep sleeping apps. So compared to regular sleeping apps, in this case, they will never run in the background, not just occasionally, but just never. So besides that, what we can also do, there's also one more thing, and this time we want to go to device care, and then we have the performance profile. So here we have the standard profile, which provides the recommended balance between processing speed, battery life, and cooling efficiency. But you can also switch to light, which, as you can read over here, prioritizes battery life and cooling efficiency over processing speed. So of course, while the performance of the device may drop a little bit probably not so much as someone might think of it like that. But it's still a good choice, especially the cooling efficiency is pretty important because the optimization of battery also includes the cooling efficiency. Because as long as the battery is not too warm for not too long, it's better, of course. If it's overheating all the time, then the aging and the draining issues appear quicker and faster on new devices. So keep in mind that you can use a light performance profile if you wish to actually implement it in your case. We're gonna go back to settings, and of course, if you have such things as always on a display, then in that case we should disable it as well to preserve the battery, because AOD consumes power quite a bit. So turn it off or schedule it to activate only at specific times if you want to still use it. But essentially, this also helps you keep the battery for longer. And these are key options that allow you to improve the battery life on Samsung Galaxy S25. Of course, there are still more things that you can do. For example, you can turn off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and mobile data when you don't need them, when you don't use them. And the same goes with, for example, the Wi-Fi calling or even the 5G connection. But I think those things that I had shown you in this video are the most important ones, or those that have the biggest impact. And that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and see you in my next videos. Bye!